Hello and welcome to this banger of a video. But before we get started, I just want to say like and subscribe. Now that that's out of the way, let's get right into this story time. So, this story time actually has one new character that you have not heard of yet, and then one character that you've already heard of, probably, think before, I think last story. So, let's just get right into this. So, the two characters that are in this, other than myself, are my boy K from last episode, which was a doozy of an episode, and then this is the new character, DC. Now, DC is a very important character, and you're probably wondering, why do you have so many D friends? I don't know, man. I have at least three or four that start with D, and then I have some that have like their first letter of their name is also the first letter of another person's name. So I can't use the first letter of their name, so I got to use the first letter of their last name, and their last name starts with a D. So, and some of them have the first name starts with a D and the last name. So fuck, it's hard. It's getting hard with these names, but regardless, let's get on track of this story. Let's begin. So this fine day started off with me at home, and I had planned this a little ahead of time. Me, Kay, and DC all decided that we were all gonna meet up and we were gonna try mushrooms together. We all wanted to try them. I had already tried them. Kay had already tried them. DC had not. So me and Kay said, "Hey, we'll take less mushrooms. Like we'll take like our normal dose, whatever, and we'll be like enough to take care of you if you start having a bad trip, you know?" And that was the worst thing we thought could possibly happen. Turns out it gets a lot worse. So, we all link up at Kay's house and we're all chilling in his room. This is where our plan was to trip, was inside of Kay's basement, because I believe Kay's parents were gone, or most of the time Kay's parents would go to bed really early. Some other things, some other crazy stories from Kay's house. I got lots of sleepover stories from that house. Like one sleepover I was there and I went to the bathroom in the night and his parents were fucking right above the bathroom. And that was an interesting experience, to say the least. But anyways, I'm getting a little distracted here. Let's get back on track. So we're all linked up and we're all thinking, when should we take these mushrooms? Like, what's a good time to take them? And it was probably earlier in the day. I want to say like maybe 6 p.m., but it was also, I think it was still wintertime outside. So it was already dark outside, like pretty much already dark. If you're not from Canada and you don't understand how early it gets dark. In the summertime, we have like the normal daylight time. We have like fucking, I think we have even like 15 or 16 hours of sunlight, right? So we have a good amount of sunlight. Wintertime though, shit, we barely got like 12 hours of sunlight. Barely, if that. Like the sun doesn't come up till like 6 a.m. and then it's already going down by the time you're going home from work at fucking 6 p.m. So, it's something out here. So, anyways, it's dark outside, and so we're basically just waiting for, just like, I don't know, we're just kind of preparing ourselves basically. So we're all huddled around, we're just conversating, just having a good time with the boys. You know what I'm saying? Just a fun time. And so finally, we decided let's pop these mushrooms. And another thing that I also brought this night, I almost forgot about this. Holy cow. So, this is actually very important to the story, especially for my part of the story, because this kind of fucked me up pretty bad. I also had, I believe, 2 tabs of acid. Now, I don't think they were double dose or anything like that. They were just regular tabs, and I had planned on taking them with DC another time, but turns out I ended up bringing them, and I'm not sure why, but not a good idea. Anyways, I decide, you know what? I actually would rather try this acid instead of the mushrooms. Nothing wrong with mushrooms. Mushrooms and acid are kind of interchangeable, if I'm being honest, but acid's a lot more potent, it's a lot more strong, and it'll have you genuinely tripping. Mushrooms can have you tripping if you take a lot, but if you take a little, it's kind of just more of like a mood boost. It's not as much tripping, it's more of just like kind of like I don't know, you get this feeling in your stomach like when you take mushrooms, at least for me, I get this feeling in my stomach that's like it's like a preparation. It's like, all right, here we go. Like shit's going down. It's starting now. And it's kind of like I don't know how to explain the feeling in my stomach, but it's just like it's just a good feeling. I don't know. It's kind of just like it's just a good feeling. I don't really know how to explain it other than that. And off acid, I actually get this same kind of feeling, but I've only ever had it a few times. Like acid, for me, it's kind of like here and there. Sometimes I'll have an amazing trip. Sometimes I won't even trip at all, like the most recent trip. I will talk about that another time. That is not a very interesting story, if I'm being honest. I took acid and I barely tripped, but if you want to hear about that, just let me know. Anyways, back to the story because I've been rambling about LSD and shrooms for a minute now. Um, so I decide I'm going to pop the LSD tab instead, and these guys are going to take mushrooms. Now, these were actually the same capsules as I was talking about before. I'm not sure if I've said it in one of these story times. I can't remember which one I talked about these capsules, but they'll be back for sure because these capsules were amazing. I remember I think I only bought 2 bottles of them total throughout like throughout when I could get them, you know? And so I bought 2 bottles of them and they lasted me a long time. I'm pretty sure they were meant for microdosing or like things like that, but I would just pop like fucking 6, 7, 8 of them, you know? Like it was fun, don't get me wrong, but yeah. Anyways, so I bust out this bottle and I give them the bottle and I'm like, all right, boys, read the label. And so we read the label and it says, I think it said 300 milligrams of psilocybin. And these weren't just one type of mushrooms. They weren't just like penis envy or anything. I think they were a mix of 3 different mushrooms. They were lion's mane, blue meanies, and penis envy, I think. I think those 3 were mixed together in these pills to create, I think it was 250 milligrams or 300 milligrams of psilocybin per pill. And so I think it was 250 actually. Now that I'm thinking back to it, I think it was 250. So I told them, hey, you take, like, I told DC, hey, you take 4, and then K can take 4, 5, or 6, depending on how much he wants to trip. Because, I mean, he's done it before. He's responsible enough to do it himself. I'm really only looking out for DC because I already know that K can handle himself pretty well. Me and him have been friends long enough that I know that. Me and DC have been friends almost as long as me and K, but DC, me and him were not really friends when I started up this drug use a little bit. So, anyways, we finally get him down the hatch. I pop my LSD on my tongue, and I went to the bathroom to go do it because I wanted to like watch it on my tongue. I guess I don't know what I was really expecting. I don't know, but I put that shit on my tongue, and I waited for it to dissolve. And by the time it had dissolved, I came back, and the boys already took their pills, right? And so I'm gonna take this Zyn out because this shit's fucking gross. This shit's fucking disgusting. Holy shit, that's gross. All right, that's been in there too long. Anyways, so we got it down, and then now we're just kind of chatting it up. You know, we're kind of just talking, just, you know, what you do whenever you're off anything, really, when you're with the boys. You kind of just get to yapping. And so we decide, let's put on Rick and Morty because that's the go-to show for us 3. Me and DC fuck with Rick and Morty hard. We've watched every single season, including the new season 8. Speaking of that, new episode is out on Sunday. Probably is already out by the time this video is out because I'm recording a bit early. But anyways, go watch Rick and Morty, the new seasons. They're fucking gas. Me and DC have watched all of the series, so me and him are rambling about Rick and Morty while we're watching Rick and Morty. And then Kay is just there. He knows a good amount of lore of Rick and Morty, don't get me wrong. I don't know if he's watched the whole show. If he's watching this right now, shout out to UK. Actually, no, fuck you. No, I'm just kidding. Go finish watching Rick and Morty if you haven't already. Anyways, back to the story. So we're watching Rick and Morty, and we're having a great time. And I look over at DC, and his ear is insanely red. And when I say like insanely red, I don't know if we have a picture of it. I think we do have a picture of it somewhere, and I could probably find it and take like a color like spectrum thing and figure out what color it was. But when I tell you it was fucking red, like probably the reddest I've ever seen anything on someone's body. And that might be an over exaggeration. I could have also, the LSD could have been hitting by this time. But anyways, I'm looking at his ear and I'm like, yeah, it's probably just frostbite because he didn't wear much when he came over and it was still cold outside. Like I said, it was wintertime. So I just assumed, hey, it's probably frostbite. Like, you'll be all right. No stress, bro. Like, just relax, take it easy, and just let the trip go. Because, I mean, if you're going to get paranoid about this, you could end up having a bad trip. So he's relaxed. He's like, nah, dude, I'm fine. Like, I think it's just frostbite. I'm like, yeah, probably. Does it feel itchy? He's like, yeah, it's a little itchy. And I was like, yeah, probably frostbite. And I was like, does it feel cold? So I grabbed it and it was really warm. And so then we were a little confused because I was like, well, if it was frostbite, it would be probably cold. But we also had been inside for a few hours and he probably warmed up. So we kind of brushed it off. I kind of brushed it off at least. Like he mentioned it, we looked into it, and I brushed it off. He did not brush it off, however. This is where it gets a little bit insane. But I was talking to Kay, like me and him were just talking it up, and DC's over there on his phone, and so we just assumed he's doom scrolling on Instagram or I don't know, because that's fuck once you're deep in your trip, I mean you're fucking lost. But anyways, I was trying to get him off his phone because when you're tripping, you shouldn't really be on your phone that much. You should be more active in the moment because when you're on your phone, lots of things can change and happen just through there. Like, for example, you can, get a text from your mom saying, get home right now. And then you're tripping balls. And now your trip is shit. Now you're tripping really bad. You're like, holy shit, I'm in trouble, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, your phone can be a hit or miss when you're tripping. Okay. That's what I'm saying. So anyways, I look over at DC and I'm like, yo, you good, man? And he's like, he looks up at me and he kind of has like this fear in his eyes. And so I was like, oh shit, like here we go. This is the bad trip. Let's get him through this and then he'll be all right. And so I'm expecting him to say like, oh man, I feel like shit, or like, I'm bugging right now, like I can't do anything or whatever. I'm expecting him to tell me something bad, right? And so I'm prepared. So he opens his mouth and he just says, I think I'm having an allergic reaction. And so both me and Kay look at each other and we're like, yeah, right. Like, yeah, right. No way these magic mushrooms are giving you an allergic reaction. I was like, they are technically poisonous. That's what makes you trip because they're poisonous to us. But they're not like poisonous in the way that, like, venom from a snake is. Venom from a snake's gonna fucking kill you. But these mushrooms, I mean, as long as you don't take fucking, 40 grams or something crazy like that, you're not gonna die. So me and Kay are looking at DC and we're like, yo, like, if you really think you're like actually having an allergic reaction, you can just go throw up those mushrooms and you'll probably feel it a bit, but it should be pretty much all gone by that. So he takes that shit right to heart and he immediately leaves the room and goes to the bathroom. And so me and Kay look at each other and we're like, well, there's two options. We can either chill here and continue tripping, or we can go to the bathroom and take care of this guy. And we love DC, so we went to the bathroom after he said to come to the bathroom. We did stay in the room, actually. But DC came back to the room and told us to come to the bathroom and chill with him because he was feeling kind of scared. Reasonable enough. You're off mushrooms and you think you're having an allergic reaction. Speaking of thinking, hold on. So he's trying to force himself to throw up in the bathroom, and me and Kay are sitting there, and I made the mistake of looking into the mirror. And if you don't know this, when you're off psychedelics and you look into a mirror, it like traps you. You kind of get like stuck in like a thought loop, almost like I don't know how to explain it. I wouldn't recommend it. It's not something that I would recommend doing off of psychedelics, but it's definitely something that I've done, and it wasn't a bad experience, but it was kind of just like a weird experience. I wasn't expecting what I was expecting, you know what I'm saying? And so, anyways, I'm locked into this mirror, so I'm not even aware of what's happening around me for a good moment, right? And all of a sudden, I like come back to reality from this mirror, and I'm like, holy shit, that was weird. That was an insane experience. And then all of a sudden I'm hit with this loud sound. And I'm like, this sounds disgusting. Sure enough, it was DC throwing up. He's trying to puke. And this guy is stressing at this point. He is full on like, oh, dude, like, am I going to die? He's like, he's pretty stressed out, right? And so I still can't believe I fucking did this. Shout out to me for this one. Actually, no shout out to me. I'm fucking dumb for this. So I leave the room, and I don't really remember doing this, but supposedly I did. I left and went back to Kay's room, grabbed the Bluetooth speaker, which was not on or connected or even played music that night yet. And I brought it to the bathroom and I showed it to them and I was like, you guys want to play some tunes? And they both shut me down immediately. They were like, fuck no, DC's dying. Why the fuck are we trying to play music? And hey, to this day, I still think we should have played tunes. Like, even if DC would have died, bro, he loves that Kanye West. You know, if he would have died to, you know, like, good morning, oh, you know what I'm saying? You know, I mean, maybe that's not the greatest song to, you know, I don't know. I'd pick a Jesus song probably from Kanye because I want my boy to make it to heaven, you know. I don't want my boy, I want to see my boy again someday, hopefully. Anyways, no, I'm just joking around. He didn't die. DC is still alive. He's still kicking it. Anyways, let's continue with the story. So DC is throwing up, and I just brought the Bluetooth speaker back. They gave me some shit. And so now DC is insanely stressed. Like, he's stressing out bad. Like, I'm talking like, you know, when you have too much weed and you start thinking and then you start thinking too much and then you start getting stressed and then all of a sudden you have all this anxiety for what? It was like that, but he had an anxiety for a reason. He thought he might have been dying, which could have been partly because he was off mushrooms, but also could have been partly the mushrooms itself, you know, his body not liking them. So he continues Googling his symptoms, which if you're a person that Googles your symptoms, just expect to be doomed, because as soon as you Google whatever you're going to Google, shut up, Google. Man, my Google just responded to that shit. Fucking shitty Samsung. If you are going to Google your symptoms, you are stupid, because you just need to accept the worst, because you're not going to see what you want to see. You're always going to see the worst. Like, you could literally Google any part of your body has a little bit of pain, and Google will tell you got fucking stage 4 cancer. And it'll have you stressed out like a motherfucker. I don't recommend Googling your symptoms, especially when you're off something. Even something as simple as weed. Don't Google your symptoms if you're off weed, because then you'll become stressed. I've done that before, and it is a bad rabbit hole that you go down. Anyways, this video is getting pretty long, so I need to speed this shit up. So DC finishes throwing up, and he is still stressing because he's scared that they're still hitting, which they probably were. They probably had already digested a fair amount, but he threw up everything that he had in his system, right? And so he got back to the room, and I believe he was eating on something. Like, I think he was munching on something. I couldn't tell you what it was, but I'm pretty sure he was eating something to try and, like, you know, maybe fill his stomach with something else. And so he's still stressing, so he starts calling everybody he knows. And not like everybody he knows, like, you know, not his parents, not none of that. Like, no one responsible. By everyone I know, I mean, like, other high school people. So he's calling up everybody he knows. He calls up all of our boys. All of our boys are damn near sleeping because it's like 1 a.m. at this, well, maybe not 1 a.m., but it's late at this point. It's like midnight, and we're all geeked, especially me and Kay. And I also didn't mention this. Apparently, after I took the LSD, I ended up popping a bunch of mushrooms. I don't know how many I took. I do know that I don't remember a lot of that night. And partially because I didn't really want to, because, I mean, I thought my friend was dying because he said he was dying. But regardless, I took mushrooms too. So I was fucked up. And Kay had taken more than he wanted to. By the end of this night, I'll just leave it at this. By the end of this night, that pill, or the bottle of pills that had like 40 or 30, 35 or 40 in it, had, I think, 4 left. when I took it home. And I was pretty sad, actually, when I took it home. But anyways, so he's calling up everybody he knows, and finally he gets a hold of our friend W. And our friend W says, yo, I ain't got none, but my girl might have some at her house. And so DC says, you know what? Fuck it. I'll call her right now. And so W's like, all right, bro, like, I wish you the best, peace out. So hangs up on W, pulls up the phone, and starts calling W's girl, aka we'll just call her Z, right? So he's calling up Z, and he's trying to get her to bring him some some meds. He wanted something called like Claritin D. I think that's what it was. Claritin D. I don't know what it is. I think it's like an allergy medicine, whatever. I was thinking like Benadryl or something. I don't know what the fucking difference is. I don't know, man. I'm not I'm not a fucking scientist, so don't expect much from me. So, anyways, I'm rambling. Anyways, um, so finally, Z is looking in her like medicine cabinet and she can't find shit, right? So DC is really stressed. He thinks he's gonna die, and so he's like egging Z on and saying, "Z, please keep looking, like please, please." And so she keeps looking, and finally she finds this little thing, a Claritin D, right? This little fucking pill that this guy needs to survive the night, right? And so I don't think he would have actually OD'd, but I think the Claritin probably helped. Regardless, he finally convinced Z to bring that shit over all the way to Kay's house, which Z lived across town. Which I mean, I don't have a very big town, so not a fucking, not a marathon or anything. But it was wintertime, and we made this poor girl, walk fucking the whole damn town over, drop this shit off that probably barely helped him. I don't know, but regardless, he finally got his Claritin D and he settled down. And after he took it, we were all chilling there, and that's about where my memory is gone. We were watching, I still remember this part. We were watching the Fart Cloud episode from Rick and Morty. Now, if you don't know about this episode, it probably sounds fucking retarded to you. So Rick and Morty are on this adventure, and they find this weird cloud, and it looks like a fart, and it's like got magical powers. And the whole point of this episode is like it's like a psychedelic episode. I mean, if you've done any psychedelics, you've probably seen this episode of Rick and Morty. But regardless, it's the Moon Man episode. That's what it's called. I think that's what it's called. Anyways, fire episode. Hella visuals when I was watching that episode, and it was a great time. But after that, I don't remember a thing, if I'm being honest. I think the mixture of acid and mushrooms together just told my brain to just block it out, and that's what I did. So that's pretty much the end of the story, because this has already gone on 23 minutes. I'm going to try and edit this maybe, because this might be a little long. But yeah, shout out to DC for making it. Thank God he made it. That's my boy. Shout out to Kay for being there and helping us take care of DC. And shout out to me for having this story. Nah, I'm just joking. Anyways, thank you for watching this. You guys have the greatest day ever. See ya.